Our president bites his ice cream, and people think that's weird. Let me tell you something, you don't know what weird is. I'm about to tell you things that will make you question why any of our presidents were allowed to be in office. This guy whips out his dingling in front of just anyone, basically. He whipped it out in front of reporters, he would pee in front of Secret Service agents, he would pee on Secret Service agents, he signed a bill and regularly held meetings from the toilet, okay? He was our president. It gets weirder than that, too. This guy believed in UFOs, this guy believed in talking to the dead, this guy also believed in talking to the dead, well, all of which were our presidents, which, like, that shouldn't happen. You don't know what weird is. We're not even gonna scratch the surface in this video because there's not enough time. Like, for example, how John Quincy Adams believed in conspiracy theories and believed that the Earth was hollow. Like a Cadbury cream egg, basically. Because of this, he approved an expedition by John Cleves Simmons Jr., who believed also in this hollow Earth, and who also believed in a secret civilization underground in our hollow Earth called mole people. Our president, John Quincy Adams, also believed in the mole people. He actually approved this expedition on government funds, and then the Congress canceled it. Thank God, we wouldn't want to disturb the mole people. But Adams died convinced that mole people still might exist in our Earth. And this guy was our president. President Quincy also kept an alligator in the White House bathtub. He would use it to scare guests when they came to use the bathroom. I mean, political figures, very important people, celebrities, world leaders would come into the White House to meet with our president, and he would scare them using an alligator. What's special about this alligator is it was gifted to him by Marquis de Lafayette, who was just some French guy. I don't know. You may be wondering, who is Marquis de Lafayette? And to that, I would say it's actually pronounced Mary Joseph Paul Yves Roche Gilbert du Motier de Lafayette, Marquis de Lafayette. Idiot. He talked to the dead, or believed that he talked to the dead. He would believed in talking to ghosts, and he reportedly attended seances regularly and had vivid dreams of the future. He was fully convinced of this, by the way, just fully convinced that he could talk to the dead, see the future. And this guy was our president. He was allowed in office. He was allowed to make presidential decisions over our entire country. The most normal thing I wrote about this guy was that he wrote a letter to the woman he loved, asking her to marry him. Very sweet and cool, right? He also included a long list of valid reasons why it might not be a good idea. Now, I'm not really good with the women, but Riz Lesson 101. Riz Lesson 101, don't do that. Don't give the woman you love a reason, a single reason, let alone a list of reasons why marrying you might be the worst decision of your life. Like, hey, I really like you, and I'd really like to, I just can't imagine life without you, but I can understand how you'd imagine life without me, because, it's probably not going to be that great. It's probably better if I'm not in your life at all, actually. Anyways, I bought a ring. Do you want to marry me? Like, that's not how that works. I'd imagine that talking to the dead and owning an alligator are probably on the list of reasons not to marry him, but who knows? Maybe he forgot those. And then after they were married, he just ignored her. So I don't know why he wanted her in the first place, but he completely ignored her. So that's weird. Anyways, he also skinny dipped, swam naked in the Potomac River every single morning. Now you may think, okay, well, skinny dipping isn't like that bad of a thing. Like, I skinny dip. I don't skinny dip, but I'd imagine some viewers do. It's not that weird of a thing. But if you're the president and you're swimming in a public lake where people can just see you, like anyone could go to this Potomac River, take out their binoculars, take out their freaking cellular camera. I don't think we had iPhones back then, but they could take out their cameras and take pictures of our president naked. That's not okay. If any of the viewers are becoming a president, basically don't do any of the things on this list, actually, anything in this video, but especially that. Do not skinny in public where people can see. Just imagine if like Biden just had naked pictures online and that was just a thing. I know his son does, but we're not going to talk about it. Ever wondered who the first female journalist to interview a president was? Me neither. I don't care. But here it is anyways, and it has to do with John Quincy Adams. One time, journalist Anne Royale wanted an interview with President Quincy, but he kept refusing. So while he was skinny dipping, she stole his clothes and refused to give them back until he answered her questions. Checkmate. Thus making her the first female journalist to interview a US president. Next up on the list, we have Theodore Roosevelt. Many people love Roosevelt, including myself. I read a small biography in early on in school in like 3rd grade about him, and I think he's a pretty cool guy. And then I made this video. And boy, has my mind changed. You're gonna see a pattern of plenty of weird presidents owning very weird pets, because weird people just own pets, which would explain actually why my sister likes animals so much. She is pretty weird. But anyways, one of them was Roosevelt. He, like many presidents in this video, had many weird pets. Roosevelt had a hyena named Bill, gifted to him by an Ethiopian emperor. If you're an emperor, you just own like people and land. You would just give a single hyena and name it Bill to our US president, but to each his own. He also had a one-legged rooster rooster, a badger named Josiah, a bear cub named Jonathan Edwards, another full-grown bear named Algonquin, which once roamed the White House. It got out and just roamed the White House. As far as I know, didn't kill anyone, but I guess if anything's named is Algonquin, I'm fine with it. I want to be named Algonquin. This is what's cool about Roosevelt, is many of these guys you're gonna like less because they're so weird, but this guy, his weird things were awesome. He chased outlaws, like in the movies. While serving as a deputy sheriff in the Dakota Badlands, Roosevelt personally chased down outlaws. Once, after capturing 3 horse thieves, he floated them down the Little Missouri River on a raft for 40 hours straight, holding them at gunpoint the entire time. I can't stay awake for that long, let alone hold my arm up to hold 3 horse thieves, 3 by himself, 3 horse thieves at gunpoint. I get tired lifting the TV remote up long enough, and this guy held these people at gunpoint for 40 hours. That's almost 2 days, and this was a regular thing for Roosevelt. Made many dangerous expeditions, one of them being the one at the Amazon rainforest, nearly dying from malaria, starvation, and an infected leg wound. He lost 50 pounds during his journey and almost drowned multiple times. He told his companions, "Go on without me, I will just lie here and die." I want this man as our president now. Now, how did he accomplish being such an awesome guy, you might ask? Coffee. Roosevelt reportedly drank a gallon of coffee every single day. Let me put this into perspective for you. A gallon is 128 ounces. The regular cup of coffee is 16 ounces. Do the math. People are astounded at how much coffee I drink. I drink 90 ounces a day. That is unbelievably unhealthy. Roosevelt drank a gallon. Next up on the list is Lyndon B. Johnson, and I just gotta say, you're not prepared. Nothing I could say you right now will prepare you. Half the things I'm about to say about this guy is you're gonna think I'm lying. You won't believe I'm serious. You're gonna think that no human could pull this off and still stay in office. For example, LBJ was obsessed with his own genitalia, which he nicknamed Jumbo. He would pee in front of his aides and journalists and Secret Service agents, which were basically his minions. He would constantly be turning around midstream to continue a conversation, just letting it right out in the open. He's okay with them seeing it. In fact, he wanted them to see it. One time, a reporter asked why US was in Vietnam. You know, that like really bloody war that we should have never been in, caused like a lot of veterans PTSD, and this guy did not handle it well. He was asked why we were in Vietnam by a reporter. LBJ unzipped his pants, pulled it out, and said, "This is why." That's not a reason, but he just wanted to show it, and he thought it would be hilarious. And this guy was our president. Jumbo basically ran the country. If someone asked why he didn't use a urinal, he'd say, "Because it's too small for Jumbo." During meetings, he would never pause meetings, no matter if there was an interruption or not, basically just because he was stubborn, I think. And so even if he wanted to go to the bathroom, he'd just have his journalists and his aides just follow him into the bathroom and have the meeting with him there. He'd often say, "Yo, come in, I don't have anything to hide." I mean, I'm not doubting that, but that's just weird, man. That's just weird. He once signed a bill while pooping on the toilet. That's our president. That was our president. That's sad. One story says that at his ranch in Texas, President Johnson started to take a leak while a Secret Service agent was standing nearby. A wind was blowing and the Secret Service agent said, "Gosh darn it, Mr. President, watch it. You're pissing on my pants." President Johnson replied, "That's executive privilege, son." Johnson owned a custom-made amphibious car, meaning that it could drive on land and it could float on water. He would fake brake failures while driving 100 miles per hour towards a lake. With people in the car, he would fake brake failures, screaming, "Oh no, the brakes are out," as passengers screamed in terror. And then he would laugh hysterically as they crashed into the lake and floated on it. He thought that was funny. It was. President Johnson was obsessed with making the best shower known to man. Not just the best, but the most powerful, the most complicated, the biggest, the baddest shower. He had highly skilled plumbers turn his shower into a human car wash so that water would forcefully spray from every angle like a human car wash. First of all, how is that comfortable? I just don't think it is, personally, but, you know, then maybe that's just me. I'm not a cold shower kind of guy. I always like hot showers unless I'm just like off of a really good run. My body feels like it's burning from the inside. I'll do a cold shower, but most of the time I have hot showers. President Johnson liked hot showers too. In fact, he had a boiling, scalding hot mode on his shower, where it would just boil the person alive. This man was insane. Why would you even want that? Johnson loved giving people gifts, which, you know, wouldn't have guessed that, to be honest. And then he would personalize them to every person. His favorite gift? Electric toothbrushes. Yep, just everyone. He'd just give everyone one electric toothbrush, sometimes multiple electric toothbrushes. Why? I'm sure he didn't know. He doesn't know why. He just gave them. He was just like, yeah, I'm rich. I got electric toothbrushes. He would give people high-end Stetson cowboy hats for people that he knew would never wear the cowboy hat, but he'd give it to them And I could just imagine their reaction, just like this really weird guy that they're just probably just hate already. And then they get this really high-end cowboy hat. You feel the need to wear it. And it's the president. You feel the need to be like, oh my gosh, thank you. But it's like, oh, thanks. I suppose. I'm not really sure, actually. I don't know what I'm feeling right now. I think he just liked making people feel awkward, which, you know, I can understand. I can make you feel awkward. Yeah, I just did it right there. He likes showing off his singing dogs, his talking and singing dogs. He would pick them up by their ears to make them yelp, claiming it was good exercise. It wasn't. He would have guests come to see his dog shows, and then to get them to talk, he'd pick them up by their ears and just let them yelp, just scream in agony while these people just stood there. This guy's the president. You can't just be like, dude, you can't do that. You just gotta stand there and be like, ha. He's so cute. Johnson loved showing his dog Yuki's singing off to world leaders. I don't care what we've said about this guy already. That is awesome. And if he's making Kim Jong-un sit down to hear a dog scream for hours on end, I am fully supportive of this man. I do not care. Overall, he was an extremely terrible man that only cared about himself, but I don't care because he made this video much funnier. Next up, we have Calvin Coolidge, the genuinely concerning president. Yeah, this is the one on the list that I'm concerned for his well-being, and it'll be interesting. But before we get to that, let me just ask you, please, for the love of God, subscribe. Please do not skip. Please do not skip. I'm not desperate, but I really have to explain to you. I'm 18 in 4 months. April 27th, I turn 18, and I need a job, and I need money, and I'm too stupid to manage just YouTube videos on my own. Managing a job and YouTube videos, that's too much for me because my brain is, it's tiny, it's small, and I can't do that. So I'm gonna need you to help me get there. I'm trying to get to 125,000 views per video by the end of the year. That would be insane. So the biggest ask is just keep watching my videos. The second biggest ask from you is just subscribe, and that's completely free, takes nothing. So if you could please do that. Anyways, back to the video. Calvin Coolidge. His nickname is Silent Cal because he never spoke. The man just never spoke. He has an innate ability to be able to never say anything. I don't know why, but like when I was younger, I had this thing where I would try to go an entire day or a couple days without talking. I was just like, I want to see if I can do it, you know? That'd be super cool. I tried to do it with my sister. I think the farthest I ever made it was like 15 minutes. I cannot relate to someone who just cannot talk. A good example of this, one time he was at dinner with like some other people, and some lady reporter said to him like, hey, I bet I could get you to say more than 2 words in this entire conversation. And he just looked at her and went, you lose. What's striking to me is that he made it in politics. Not only did he make it in politics, he became a president. He became a president in politics. That's like the most successful that you become in politics. I mean, the whole thing about politics is talking. Like, you convince people, you're charismatic, you lie. You have to talk in politics, and the man just didn't. He just didn't talk. He never talked. In fact, he was so stoic and just showed no emotion that when he was sworn into office by his father, he just like kind of nodded and then went back to sleep. That was his reaction. When he won the presidency that he ran for, he was told, hey, Mr. President, you won the presidency. He just kind of like raised his eyebrows a little bit. We think Mark Zuckerberg acts like a robot. Calvin Coolidge acted like a statue, a mannequin. And you know what game he liked the most? The silent game. Yep, he actually played the silent game with people. He would muster up the courage to say something, and he'd say, let's play the silent game. And then he'd win by never speaking. He was also a very big practical joker. One of his favorite pranks was hiding behind curtains in the White House and making the Secret Service search for him. You know, Secret Service, the bodyguards that protect the president? Yeah, he'd hide from them and freak them the heck out. And they'd have to go looking all over the White House for him, and he'd just be hiding behind the curtains. He also liked ringing the White House buzzer to summon staff, then hiding and watching them panic. I love this guy. He once put Vaseline on the back of visiting dignitaries' chairs just to see if they'd notice. Vaseline. Why? A live raccoon was sent to the White House for Thanksgiving in 1926 during his presidency, intended to be eaten as part of the holiday feast. First of all, the question in all of our minds, why the heck would you eat a raccoon? I'm pretty sure never in American history, other than that moment, has a raccoon intended to be eaten. We don't do that in America. You know, go to a different country. I know they got weird foods in other countries. We don't do that here. And it was sent to the White House, which is like one of the most American places you can get. To the president, which is one of the most American people you can get. Anyways, he took that raccoon. Instead of eating her, Coolidge fell in love with the raccoon and named her Rebecca, which I'm sorry, but that's like the best name you can name a raccoon. And then Rebecca just freely roamed the White House. Just a very tame raccoon freely roaming the White House. I don't know how like the pooping and stuff worked. I also don't know if people were okay with that, but it just roamed the White House. Rebecca had a special house specifically for her. her own little dwelling on the White House property, and was invited to official events. And this was Coolidge, Calvin Coolidge, our president. He also had dogs, cats, a goose, a bobcat, a donkey, and even a wallaby as pets. Now it's just gonna get weird. It's only gonna get weird from here. Coolidge had a nightly ritual where his head was massaged with Vaseline. Why would you do that? Why would you want Vaseline to be rubbed into your head in the first place? Why would you want that? Intrusive thoughts. He had a lot of them. This man is the embodiment of when you let intrusive thoughts win. When he first became president, he pressed random buttons in the Oval Office for fun. And when I say random buttons, I mean every random button. He once summoned all of the staff to see how fast they would come, which, you know, I read up a little bit on that. That's like a big ordeal. If you summon all the staff, everybody's freaking out. People have to stop in the middle of what they're doing, you know, meetings, different bills and legal stuff. And he just did it because he felt like it. He also found it hilarious to call people in and then just sit there silently, which is, you know, on character, watching them squirm. Not for any particular reason, just to see them squirm. Coolidge installed a mechanical horse in the White House for daily exercise. If there's any small children watching, I just have to clear this up right now. Riding on one of those little mechanical ponies that you see at like the fair or the mall, that's not exercise. I don't know why. That was his intention, his stated intention. He installed a mechanical horse, one of those little pony rides that he just ride quite a bit, actually. Like every day he'd ride it for exercise. That doesn't give you exercise. So I don't know why he did that. But anyway, he would put on his riding gear and pretend he was actually riding a real horse. Staff had to he ordered them to pretend that this was totally normal while he bounced up and down on his mechanical horse, just pretending like it was normal. Basically, college is just weird. Not just unusual, but he was genuinely concerning. And, you know, there were some things that, you know, you could definitely like about him, like Rebecca or like the horse, you know, but just generally, he was a weird guy. He was definitely one of the weirdest. Next up is President General Ford. I just recorded from here to the end of the video and realized I never pressed record. So General Ford, I don't even know why I kept him in here, to be honest. I really only kept him here just to make the joke that someone's clumsier than Biden, because apparently this guy fell downstairs, off stages, and even out of Air Force One. He just fell everywhere. And that was basically the entire legacy he left behind, as far as I could really find online. He once got hit in the head with a golf ball at his own tournament. That's not even that funny. I don't know why I left this in the video, so let's move on. Okay, next up, Andrew Jackson, the duelist, the hothead duelist, the guy that is just so dangerous he shouldn't even have been in office, fought in over 100 duels, carrying bullets in his body from past fights, once beat up a man who tried to assassinate him with his cane. In fact, people had to pull him away from beating up this guy because he was gonna kill him. He almost killed him with his own cane. His whole life was just driven by like honor obsession. Like he was obsessed with being just honor. And so if someone insulted him or just didn't like him or disagreed with him at all, he just threatened to kill him. He just duel. And in like these duels weren't just like, no, you're a poopy head. No, you're a poo-poo pants. It was like, no, these guys are going at it, trying to kill each other. They're beating each other up, trying to really damage each other, rough each other up. He just did this all the time. Keep in mind, while he was president, he did this. One time, he killed a guy named, what was his name? Charles Dickinson? Yeah, who had insulted Jackson's wife. He had insulted his wife, so he was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna kill you. And he did. He actually let Dickinson shoot Jackson in the chest first so that he had the right to kill him. He shot him, and then Jackson stayed standing, aimed, and killed him while still bleeding. The bullet stayed in Jackson's body for the rest of his life, and despite the duels, Jackson somehow lived to be 78 years old with the chronic diseases that he fought his entire life with. The man was kind of like Roosevelt in the sense that he just did whatever he wanted, no matter how dangerous it was, and somehow didn't die. The difference was Roosevelt did this with coffee, and Jackson just did it out of rage and honor. So, you know, to each their own. President Jackson one time received a 1,400-pound wheel of cheese as a gift from a regular dairy farmer, which I don't know how a regular dairy farmer has that much cheese lying around, but the cheese sat aging in the White House for 2 years, making the whole building smell like cheese. And then upon Jackson leaving office, he had the public come and eat the cheese, which was just devoured in a couple of hours. But anyways, that's just weird. So now he's inspired me because I imagined what it would be like to have all of my house smell like cheese all the time. So when I move out, not only am I going to get a pet raccoon named Rebecca, I am going to put cheese flavored air fresheners in my house because that sounds incredible. Jackson owned a pet parrot named Pole, which That's the dumbest name ever, but he taught it to curse inadvertently. At his funeral, the parents started swearing so loudly that it had to be removed from the funeral. So all these people are mourning. The president died. The president himself died. Hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of, who knows, like how big his funeral was. And the parrot is just ruining the whole thing, dropping F-bombs. Remember that alligator from earlier? The one that John Quincy Adams owned and used to scare people? You know, the one gifted to him by Marie Joseph, Paul Yves, Roche Gilbert, Dumotier de Lafayette, Marquise de Lafayette, that one? Yeah, well, he's back 5 presidents later. In fact, 5 presidents this guy has stayed alive. Jackson also kept the alligator in the bathtub and scared guests exactly like Adams. So, you know, guess he was inspired, but just equally as weird. Next up, we got Richard Nixon. And this guy, boy, he was messed up. He was messed up in the head. Like some of the stuff I'm about to tell you is just sad. Anyways, first of all, we have him talking to paintings in the White House, specifically at night. People would find him all the time at night, just talking to the paintings in the White House, specifically of dead presidents, and he would be talking to them, arguing with them, talking to the dead as well, and just arguing with the president. Sometimes he would get so drunk that he'd have violent argumental fights over just random stuff with Abraham Lincoln and Dwight Eisenhower, specifically talking about his problems, enemies, and his legacy. This was just a regular thing, and he was our president. Guess what? Secret microphones installed everywhere. He bugged the entire White House. He recorded thousands and thousands of hours of conversation in the White House. Why? Well, when he was asked, he said, "I must keep a record of history even if it incriminates me," implying that things were going to incriminate him. That's not okay. He even bugged his own private phone calls. Like, this is certifiably crazy. This is serial killer type stuff. Kind of like practicing smiling. He was so socially awkward, he actually practiced smiling in the mirror. Now, if you're convinced that he is an extremely weird guy, let me introduce you to his eating habits. His favorite meal? You're not ready. I'm just gonna warn you right now, you're not ready. Cottage cheese with ketchup. Cottage cheese with ketchup. This makes me mad. I am mad that anyone, let alone our president, would eat cottage cheese with ketchup. I like how all of the idiots online are making fun of Biden biting his ice cream. Listen, no one is topping President Nixon's eating habits. I know an entire family who puts sour cream, not cream cheese, but sour cream on their hot dogs. That's weird. My brother-in-law eats popcorn with milk in it, like cereal, basically. That's weird. That does not top Richard Nixon. I know a lady who used to guzzle mayonnaise because she loved it so much. She'd put it on everything. She'd eat it straight. It does not top this. Cottage cheese and ketchup, mixing it together, that right there should land you in a psych ward. This should land you in a mental institution for eating that. No human, no sane human will eat that. That pisses me off. Cottage cheese with ketchup. In 1970, Elvis Presley randomly, why did I say it like that? Elvis Presley. In 1970, Elvis Presley randomly showed up at the White House asking to meet Nixon. Nixon just invited him in and they had a strange rambling conversation about communism and drugs. Nixon gave Elvis an official badge, making him honorary DEA agent. I don't know exactly what that means, but apparently it was a really big deal, and I guess Richard Nixon wasn't like really supposed to do that, but you know, whatever. Also, after I learned about this, I went off on a little tangent, reading up and learning about Elvis and his weirdness, and boy, is he a lunatic too. So if you guys want to see a video about that, comment below if you want to see. Yes, I'll be totally honest. I'm completely baiting you into writing comments, but I also need to know what kind of videos do you like to see. And also, like a mentally deranged lunatic, when under pressure, Nixon would refer to himself in the third person. So he would say the president or Mr. President instead of I. Like, Mr. President finds these allegations in this cottage cheese without ketchup very weird. Mr. President doesn't like his cottage cheese without ketchup. Spaceman Spunk thinks that's very ludicrous. Spaceman Spunk does not like that. Spaceman Spunk, quote, said, "I am not sure we've had many good options for presidents in the late years, but I sure am glad that most of them are better than this lunatic." Final verdict, this guy is a lunatic and Spaceman Spunk does not like bro. Jimmy Carter! Good old Jimmy, good old Carter, good old Jimmy Carter. I don't know. Next up, we got Jimmy Carter, who's, you know, well, actually the most likable probably on the list. He's pretty cool, but just weird. I think there's a bug in my sock and it keeps tickling me. In 1969, Carter reported seeing a UFO in Georgia. He claimed he saw a bright glowing UFO in the sky. He later filed an official UFO report with the National Investigations Committee on Aerial Phenomena. What kind of a stupid name is that? During his campaign, he promised to release secret government UFO files, but later backed down, citing national security risk, which that's concerning. I don't believe in UFOs, but I felt like it could have been something. You know, those like Chinese drones that have been found out recently. I don't know. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but maybe Carter was onto something. So I really don't even know what to think about that. He could have been crazy, he could have been lying, could have been telling the truth. I mean, I'm just saying. In 1979, Carter was fishing alone when a giant swamp rabbit swam towards his boat. The rabbit was hissing, baring its teeth, and trying to climb in and kill Carter. Carter had to fend it off with a paddle before it swam away. When reporters heard this story, they thought it was a joke, but the White House released a photo proving it happened. Let me repeat that for you. But the White House released a photo proving it happened. Proof means that it 100% did happen. Now that actually means that there was a giant swamp rabbit hissing and baring its teeth trying to kill Carter. That's concerning, despite everything that I've said already. The weirdest thing I think to me, presidential or not, is when people make it this far into a video and they don't subscribe. I mean, seriously, and don't click off the video because I'm gonna chastise you for a second. You made it this far into the video. I kept you entertained for how long? The fact that you made it this far means you enjoyed it, means you liked me, means you liked the topic. So why not press the button to watch more of this beautiful content that we know we all want to see more of? Please subscribe, and I love you, and go watch the next video on screen because then I get 2 views, and then I'm gonna go make some chicken nuggets, some dinosaur shaped chicken nuggets because I'm a little bit hungry. Anyways, I love you and goodbye.